Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to New Day Black and Red. This is the exceptional one, Ken McClinton. We are live for the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the socialist. So glad to have you all here this evening. In a few moments, we'll be contacting none other than the host of this particular program from Dallas-Fort Worth, certainly the professor, Dr. Michael Jones. I want to say hello to everybody this particular evening. I want to give love and a shout out to Mary Brockman, my bouncer in chief, who is in the TECN Euro Pacific Bank Limited TECN chat room at TECS, theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. Love you, Mary. Glad to have you here. Also, Dave Bloke Milner is in our chat room. He is the man, an awesome man. I want to thank him already for his referral because, in fact, he's responsible for setting up Monday night show. I appreciate the assist. Monday night on the Exceptional Conservative Show, Leslie Ann Stoffel will be joining us. We'll be talking about Canada and Sharia law, and how that might be a threat to America. We're going to talk about that tonight as well, but in greater detail with her. And we're going to try to get a very special guest on Monday night as well. So glad to have you all here. So much is going on. I know that there's a lot of attention, a lot of celebration in liberal America because of a decision by 3 liberal judges. And listen, on my own program, I have been told that I am in error for even supporting the concept of demanding that each and every federal judge step down from his post who was appointed and is liberal. I've been, oh, Ken, you can't do that. And I'm thinking, yeah, it's about time to do that. Because our Constitution is at risk, our national security is at risk, America is at risk. And so we'll be talking with none other than the unpleasant, forgive me, no, we will not be talking with the unpleasant blind guy. We'll play a clip by him, but we will not be talking with him. We'll be talking with the pleasant professor, the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones, in a few moments about the Constitution, about the meltdown amongst the Democrats, and about Sharia North. Yeah, Sharia law to the north. Also wanted to let everyone know that tomorrow morning I will be doing something special. For the first time in a long time, I'll be up at 7 o'clock in the morning doing a radio program. And in fact, at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, we will be doing a very special Trailblazer radio program. It'll be from 7 to 10. I'll be on all 3 hours. We'll be interviewing 3 of those individuals that will be receiving the Trailblazer Award. And it's a great honor and privilege to have them on the air with us. And so I'm excited. And if you would let everyone know, join me tomorrow morning from 7 to 10 on the Exceptional Conservative Network. And we will have a great toast of joy and celebration. In fact, we have 3 gentlemen. Robert Wallace will be joining us. Richard Finley will be joining us. And Alan Inman from 7 to 10. And we'll be talking with them in each hour, on the hour, about their successes, about their contemplations and hopes and aspirations beyond being just trailblazers. So join us for that. Now, without further ado, because I got to call the professor, I want to lift up this heavy dandy plaque to that side. You will see a huge flag. Behind me, you'll see some flags as well. What we do at this point, we take off our hats, we put our right hand over our heart, and we pledge allegiance to the United States of America. And I ask that you join me this particular evening in doing just that. Take it away, kids.
Parents, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Now, without further ado, let us get on the line America's great constitutional authority, none other than Dr. Michael Jones. Let's see if he has time for us. You know what I'm saying? Because, he's such a busy man now, a ladies' man at that. And so, being the sex symbol that he is, it's kind of difficult to keep up with him. We do our very best on New Day Black and Red, which gives you a constitutional as well as a spiritual viewpoint on current affairs and issues of the day. Let's hope that we have him here tonight. 1 ringy dingy, 2 ringy dingies, 3 ringy dingies. We are looking forward to talking with him. Okay, we're wondering what's wrong with the professor now.
Please leave your message.
All right. I have not heard from the professor. All right. So let me just do this real quick. Okay. Okay. And we will attempt to find him, our professor, our great professor that he is. Let's see. A few moments ago, we were just in the groove of talking with him. In fact, a little while ago, I was talking with him. Just trying to find out now exactly. Okay. I want to try this one more time here. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we will attempt to contact the professor just once more. Otherwise, we'll move forward with New Day Black and Red live from Washington, D.C. We'll be right back.
From day's first light till night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies. Anytime, any place. That's how we've done business since 1939. Brownell's.
Want to know the best kept secret in flea and tick control? It's the money you'll save with 1-800-PET-MEDS. Save 30, 40, even 50% on veterinary recommended brands for your pet, and we'll deliver them free right to your door. And now you can get the safe and effective results of a top brand for even less with new Flea for X Plus. 4-way action to kill fleas, ticks, lice, and mosquitoes. Plus, it starts working in 5 minutes to 1 hour and is backed by our 100% happy guarantee. Call now or order online from...
Hi, my name is Willie Lawson of The Willie Lawson Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. They told me that I needed to be humble, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I decided to be awesome instead. That's The Willie Lawson Show, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. here on the Exceptional Conservative Network.
Want to know the best kept secret in flea and tick control? It's the money you'll save with 1-800-PET-MEDS. Save 30, 40, even 50% on veterinary recommended brands for your pet, and we'll deliver them free right to your door. And now you can get the safe and effective results of a top brand for even less with new Flea for X Plus. 4-way action to kill fleas, ticks, lice, and mosquitoes. Plus, it starts working in 5 minutes to 1 hour and is backed by our 100% happy guarantee. Call now or order online from 1-800-PET-MEDS.
Have you?
So what do you think about ebooks? Maybe you've never read an ebook before, but you're considering giving it a try. Or maybe you've been reluctant to try ebooks because you don't want to buy another expensive electronic device. Or maybe you already enjoy ebooks, but you haven't been able to find titles from your favorite Christian authors. Whatever your situation, ChristianBook.com has the solution. Your trusted source for print books for over 30 years now offers ebooks. Our always free CBD reader allows you to read on the devices you already own without spending money on a new device. Thousands of Christian ebooks at ChristianBook.com means you can shop with confidence and choose from the titles you want. Plus, we are adding new titles all the time. Browse our huge selection of low-priced Christian ebooks the same way you would printed books, only now you can go from shopping to reading in seconds. Simply select the ebook you wish to purchase, confirm your account information, and start reading. Free samples of every ebook are available, so you can preview the book first, before you buy it. Plus, there's no lengthy app downloads and updates. Accessing the CBD Reader is as easy as going to cbdreader.christianbook.com and bookmarking the page. The CBD Reader holds your ebooks and bookmarks for you, no matter what device you're on. So, you can take your entire ebook library wherever you go and pick up right where you left off. Our customizable options make it possible to read your ebooks in different font sizes and styles. Want a large print version? You've got it in seconds with a simple click of the mouse. Already own a dedicated e-reader? Download your ebooks to your computer from your christianbook.com account and transfer them to your device. Try ebooks at christianbook.com and start reading your favorite books in seconds. Easy, economical, everywhere you want to read. Welcome to christianbook.com ebooks.
Meet Jason. He was really excited to start growing his business with social media until he realized how complex and time-consuming social media can be. It's difficult to manage multiple social networks and accounts. It's hard to monitor what's happening on social media, follow discussions, and engage with new followers. It's time-consuming to publish updates throughout the day, track and analyze how effective posts are, respond to fans and followers in a timely manner, and gain new customers. The list seems to go on and on. Jason quickly becomes discouraged. How could he ever do all of this and still run a business? He was ready to give up on social media until he found eClincher, the easiest way to manage social media. Jason was amazed how straightforward and simple it is to use eClincher. With eClincher, Jason is now able to leverage the power of social media without having to dedicate several hours a day. He can easily organize all his social media accounts in one place, efficiently plan and schedule his posts ahead of time, engage with his followers, understand the effectiveness of his efforts with powerful analytics, find new customers, and much more. In order to tell your business's story, simplify the process of managing your social media, and analyze results, sign up with eClincher today.
My name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, then our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused beef burger. When we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burger, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat mix a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
That's right, baby. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland. Infused Restaurant. Infused Restaurant. I am telling you, if you want to get your foodie on, that is the place to be. You're talking about the exceptional one, which is the size of my head. Had that on a few weeks ago just to show you all that. The food at Infused Restaurant is just absolutely breathtaking. It is to dine for, if I would use a metaphor. And most certainly it is to dine for. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland is the place to be. It is Infused Restaurant. You can go to the front page of the exceptionalconservativeshow.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom. You will see Infused Restaurant there. You can click on and find out more information about the menu, the times, their openings, their closings, and all of the great deals that they have. Ladies and gentlemen, a good friend of mine will be joining us at this particular time period. And he is none other than the unpleasant blind guy. Almost spoke prophetically before, wasn't I? The unpleasant blind guy, Dave Milner, joining us in just one moment. Good evening, sir. It's a pleasure to have you on our network program.
Ken, pleasure to be here. The underground professor sent me in his stead, so I guess tonight it's going to be good. New day, black and blind.
You know, I think we should change the show just for that. New day, black and blind. The professor isn't feeling well. Am I correct in that regard?
Right. He fell ill just a few moments ago, and you know, he has my number. I hope, very likely, you know, given our luck, he'll probably call me right in the middle of this. But yeah, he's not feeling too good, so I decided to, you know, to take your invitation and come on in his stead, and I'm honored, sir.
Well, it is a plum pleasing pleasure to have you on this program tonight. Presenting the best and popular conservative talk.
There you go.
Thank you so much. I love all those similes right there. Say that 5 times fast. Ladies and gentlemen, we pray right now for Dr. Michael Jones. We're asking the Lord to intercede and to heal his body, to make him whole, to take away the pain, Father God, that he feels, the sickness, Lord God, and give him rest. And with his mind stayed on Christ Jesus, that he may know the peace of shalom and all the fullness of his glory. In Jesus' name we say that. Amen.
Amen.
Listen, you are a superstar on SHR Media, sir. And it is an honor to have you in the stead of the professor himself. I know none of us have the authority to touch your laces, nor the skill set to do so.
Yeah, I'm the superstar. You're the man with the network, and I'm the superstar. Okay. All right. I like science fiction just as much as anybody else. So we'll go with that.
Dave, it's extremely a great honor to have you on the program. Dave is one of the busiest men, I'm telling you, in conservative talk. And his great love for me was that he was going to consider my offer to bring me on board with TECN on a Friday night, but he just didn't have enough time to do that. And it's with great reason. One of the great reasons is because of what you do on EDL. So can you tell everybody what EDL is all about?
EDL Radio is the podcasting arm of the English Defense League, which is a groundbreaking, I might say, civil rights organization in the United Kingdom. Their work was so important. When I heard about it a few years ago, I checked out this program on Blog Talk Radio, the service which here is not to be named, but I just named it, and found that they are a group of people who are very concerned about the encroachment of Islam on the culture and the people of the United Kingdom. This show is hosted by a gentleman named Jeff Mitchell, wonderful fellow who grew up in southeast London and who has seen his country just go down the tubes thanks to the increase in Islamization. I joined the program, Ken, primarily because I heard about things that I knew would be here in just a few years, and now it appears that some of them are. We're talking about the increase in the population of Muslims resulting in rape gangs, child sex slavery, female genital mutilation, honor killing, all of the things that you hear about and you are told are just Islamophobia or thisism or that that are real, that people are experiencing on the street there in the UK, people of all colors too. This goes across racial lines and everything, and it is basically the encroachment of Islam into a free nation. And we have hooked up, Ken, with some really great people. I mean, we have spoken to people like Tanya Groth of For Freedom in Denmark. We've spoken to people like the lady that you're going to have on Monday night, who I won't mention because that's going to be a surprise. And there are other people like that. There are people worldwide, Ken, that are worried about the encroachment of Islam on free societies and on the civilized world. Can I tell you something, Ken?
Yeah.
Even China and Russia. All right. Now we know about their human rights record, both of them.
Yeah.
China has banned Islam in at least one of its southern provinces. It's having none of it. And Vladimir Putin is putting the hammer down on Islam in I almost call it the Soviet Union, but you know where Putin comes from. So
close enough.
Yeah. I mean, this is a problem, and can I say, this is a problem that hurts my heart, Ken, because as an American, I don't want to pick out any group of people and say these people are bad. But if you read the Quran, the Hadiths, the Sirahs, they will tell you that as the Ten Commandments tell us as Christians how to act in the same way that Jesus would have acted, all of these writings that I told you about tell devout Muslims to act in the way that Muhammad would have acted. And sadly, this is where you get the terrorism. This is where you get these nightclubs and other coffee shops and places that are taken captive, and the people inside tortured, and people killed, and just the everyday horror that is visited on children in countries around the world. You do a thing, Ken. You do work for Shania Wrench, right?
Yeah.
And we discussed this when you began doing it. These people take care of abused children, and that number is just going to skyrocket if President Trump is not allowed to control the influx of Mohammedans into the United States of America. And I know some people are going to say that's bigotry, but no other group of people that I know of has stated religious doctrine to back up acts of evil. Do you know of any, sir?
None whatsoever. The unfortunate thing here is that even to our north, the threat of Sharia law is as great as the totalitarian tyranny which is sought from the south in our country. We're talking about building a wall to our south. We may have to build a wall to our north because of the ever-increasing threat of those who have taken the quote-unquote political and made it a religion. And we've had Dr. Bill Warner on here. We've had so many other greats come on here to talk about the fact that Islam is not a religion. It is a tyrannical political thought. It is a groupthink as audacious as Marxism, but certainly more violent than even communism. And quite frankly, a lot of people get offended. And I know that I might be banned from flying into London or going into Nova Scotia or Quebec City, but that's okay with me. I've lived long enough where I've enjoyed the shores of North Carolina's beaches. I think I've enjoyed a very good thing. I won't miss Quebec City. But I say that to say this. A lot of people don't have the opportunity of listening to EDL And you know my commitment to try to reach the world.
Right.
The good news of conservatism, for it's the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the socialist.
Love to repeat that.
Indeed, it
I
is.
do. It's great, man. I wish I'd said it. Go ahead.
And so it is our objective to reach the world. And too many people in this country are celebrating the fact that 3 liberal justices and another liberal judge before them has decided that the president of the United States is not in control of immigration. The progressive Marxist socialist agenda is in charge of immigration. And in so doing, it opens up the hellish door and potential reign of Sharia law right here in America. And I just want to ask you, because you have a very sexy young woman on your program too, and I really enjoy her beauty. She got
Which one?
I forget. Is she from Ireland or?
Well, okay. You're speaking of our star panelist. That would be Jan Rennie.
Jan Rennie.
She is originally from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
She's originally from Birmingham in the UK. It's about in the middle there.
Yeah.
But she's moved to Scotland, so she has just enough of that Scottish in her voice, to make it extra sexy.
Yeah, there you go. But I listen to you all, and a lot of people think that the ideals that we're talking about are so far removed. We already have a judiciary and a legislative body that for the past 4 years have been working towards instituting the Third Bill of Rights from the United Nations, opening the door for there to be a totalitarian rule in this country. Now, when we say that kind of stuff, people will sit back and say, oh, go get the tinfoil. They're going at it again. But this stuff is real. Can you tell them some of the things that are happening in London and also in Canada at this point?
Well, I can just relay things that have been told to me by my friends and by the lady that you're going to speak to on Monday. But you've already had gang rapes in Canada, in Toronto. This has also happened, I believe, in Montreal. So that's begun there. And the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Company, is already covering that up. So you have government infused, if you'll pardon the expression, with the media already to cover these things up. You have women in Canada who call their women's rights councils, their women's rights advocacy groups, and when they complain about Muslims, they're being hung up on because their rights are being considered subordinate now to the rights of the incoming Muslims in Canada. Now that's Canada. In the UK, it's worse. We interviewed on the EDL radio a young couple. These people are probably in their early 30s, and there has been a large population of Muslims in the UK now for about the past 30 years, and this has really created the problems with things like the gang rapes and the things that I told you about before. This lady had been gang raped. This is just one story. She had been gang raped herself. And to this day, her rapist and his friends go outside their home, this couple's home, and hang around and harass them and things like that. Her husband was told, yes, we know who this guy is. And if he turns up with his legs broken, we're just coming to arrest you.
Wow.
Now, that's her. That's not her friend. Her friend, Canad, and I told this story to Al Ashworth on Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter. Her friend came to her because she had been raped in a public park. She knew who the rapist was. And the rapist actually bit a hole in her breast in the process of raping her. So they go to the police station together. And the female officer who took the report said, well, we're not going to go and arrest the guy because he'll just say he didn't do it.
Yeah.
That's how rape is handled in the UK if the rapist is a Muslim, because the officials in charge there are afraid of being called quote unquote racist. And can I say here, Ken, the obvious fact: Islam is not a race.
No, it isn't.
Okay. But they still handle it that way. And then the female officer told this woman, he'll just consider that another notch on his belt. That's how it is handled over there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the prevailing theory, and I think it's a good one, is that since the progressive left has not been able to convince the native electorates in particularly in Western countries, but in pretty much all civilized countries, of the goodness and the longevity of the things that they do, they have to find someone else who's going to vote for them.
Yeah.
So they bring in Muslims, and over a period of 20 to 30 years, the populations become so large, and they always support the progressives, that the progressives gain power. They don't care what happens to the people as long as they have power. You can see this in countries like Germany, which has just been practically taken over.
Yeah.
Where they're just exposing their throats. Sweden, a good example there was an older an older couple of women. They just happened to live in a house together there.
Yeah.
They were robbed by incoming Muslim migrants. They were robbed and everything taken from them, and they left, and then they were interviewed. And what they said in the interview was, "We're just glad that no one thinks we're racist." They don't have anything left, but they're just happy that no one thinks they're racist. So you have, not only do you have an influx of people who care nothing for the laws of the country they find themselves in, but you have very cooperative governments who are willing to keep these people there and allow them to culturally take over the entire nation just so they can stay in power.
And we're talking tonight with my very good friend Dave Milner, who is sitting in for the unhealthy professor, the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones, not feeling very well at all, and we're praying for his recovery and his strength. Dave Milner is the Unpleasant Blind Guy. You may have heard any number of his great messages during the course of our program and on SHR Media. And quite frankly, his program, EDL, amongst others that he works on, has been a signal, a shining light on the hill to many people as to the pertinent situation that we're in, because we have allowed the progressives in their own pursuit of tyranny and destruction to open pathways that others who wish to take advantage of the frailties of those on that progressive movement so that they might have dominion on the earth are certainly going through. Those doors are wide open now. And in one of those particular situations that Dave and his ilk speak of on EDL is about Sharia law. Now, I know something you all are listening tonight and you're saying to yourselves, oh God, Ken has jumped the shark. He's gone. You might as well become another one of those Alex Jones kind of guys. But we've been talking about this for almost 7 years. I've been on the air for almost 7 years, and I've talked about this often, that we have allowed individuals to make us so politically correct that we have become as blind as the justice who holds the scales. Even justice today doesn't hold blindness in weighing the scales of itself. But certainly, we have opened the doors for people like Masaga Aaron Mills, a liberal MP, Ikra Khalid, who has tabled a motion that calls on the government to condemn Islamophobia in Canada. And her critics are very concerned that really this is not about Islamophobia. This is about silencing the critics. It's about taking away free speech. It is about condemning Christianity. It is about destroying it with the laws of men rather than with the Spirit of God. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we're watching tonight. We're about a week away from Canada literally instituting Sharia law. And if I'm wrong, if I've misspoken, if I'm being hyperbolic, please tell me, Dave. Tell me to shut up. You're on the wrong track here.
No, what you're talking about here, Ken, is specifically Sharia compliance, which in this case is blasphemy laws. You are not supposed, excuse me, to blaspheme against Islam. In other words, saying anything bad about Islam. In fact, in some cases, you can be sentenced to death for blaspheming against Islam by a Sharia court. And it's gotten so bad in Canada that there was one case which I don't know all of the details on, but it was a story that I saw several weeks ago. There was an individual who was preaching on a street corner from the Islamic texts, and he was arrested under their hate speech laws, and he was actually convicted, and it went to the Canadian Supreme Court, and they said that even if what you say as a Canadian citizen about Islam is the truth, you can be convicted of a hate crime and sent to jail, and that has already happened. You can say, as well, you can even read this passage out of the Quran, which is one that I think a lot of people should pay attention to. This is from the Quran, chapter 4, verse 24. And all married women are forbidden unto you, save those captives whom your right hand possesses. Even sex with married slaves is permissible. Now that refers obviously to the Islamic slave trade, which is going on even now. Muslims are trading black slaves in Africa. They're trading slaves of other ethnicities in Asia and the Middle East. It is going on. But if you say those truths in Canada, or if you say that the Islamic prophet Muhammad married a girl at age 6 and had sex with her at age 9, that is the truth. It is the documented truth in the Islamic so-called holy writings. However, you can still be prosecuted and convicted and jailed for hate speech if you do those things. I was explaining this on EDL radio today to my audience, or to our audience there, some of who do not live in the United States. See, people, when Ken and the Prof talk about natural law, these are the laws that these are the rights, the natural rights, excuse me. These are the rights that God has given us, and one of them is the right to free speech. But this is being overturned in Canada in a week if something isn't done. Hate speech, as the left says, is not protected speech, and we say that yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have that ability to speak our minds, to speak the truth. And if you can't speak the truth about an ideology that, for instance, supports slavery, Ken, I don't know what you can speak the truth about, my friend.
You can't. And literally, what they're literally saying is, and you all have to be very careful, because what's being said in Canada and what's being said in London are the openings to what allowed Muhammad to secure Mecca and Medina. It opened the door for him to become a warrior. You're opening the door for the Islamic jihadists to overflow and to overtake. Literally what they're saying is, and I love the way they, cusp it all so it sounds very sincere and succinct, is that when you speak against Islam, you are hateful. Now, that's a great judge of a man's soul because of what he speaks. However, I wouldn't expect any one of those liberals to profess Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, because out of the mouth, it's what you are really feeling. But the sense of the matter is, you are held criminally liable for your emotions and your feelings and your thoughts and your words, and not your deeds. And so in this particular case, regarding Sharia law, if you, a preacher of the gospel of Jesus Christ, were to approach an imam or anyone else on the street and you say, This is not a religion. It is a cult. And in fact, it is a cult that allows you to begrudgingly lift up a few to rule over the many. It also allows you to kill and to destroy women and mutilate them. It allows you to enslave. Even today, the most slaves in the world are in Muslim nations, Islamic nations. I would be very happy if there was a liberation process that came through Islam. But after some almost 1,500 years, it ain't happened yet. It has enslaved many. When you go to Africa, many people are talking about where the Christians enslaved people. Do you not know that it was the Islamists who enslaved and sold them into slavery here in America? But you won't hear Black Lives Matter talk about that. There are some things that you need to know that have opened the door for Islamism to rule and to have dominion. One of those particular things in terms of taking away your voice, under the Third Bill of Rights, which this country has been working for since the passage of the Affordable Care Act in 2008, which virtually took away all of your liberties and freedoms because you're now dependent upon the government to do for you what you can do for yourself. And so much so that even the Republicans don't want to give up that kind of power. That's an awesome amount of power to have over a human being.
Mm-hmm.
You literally have a situation here where under the Third Bill of Rights, under the human rights laws of the United Nations, if you are offensive to another man's religion, which you don't hear people in the Christianity talk about, I'm offended, I need to kill you. No, it doesn't work that way. But if you offend, then you are rightfully held in contempt and you should be arrested as a hate crime. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk with you in the next hour about why women should be really, really concerned about any person, especially a Islamic woman pushing Sharia law onto free people. But I want you all to understand, and next Monday night, in fact, and I want to thank Dave publicly for helping me put this together.
Yeah.
Leslie Ann Stoffel will be joining us. She is leading a charge against Sharia law in Canada. And I'm going to work real hard to also have Dr. Bill Warner come back on the same night. You all have to really understand that what's going on in Washington, D.C. about all the hoopla about the immigration thing and whether one court's going to say this or what the Supreme Court's going to say. Really, the formula has been laid by the Obama administration for the introduction of Sharia law into America. That's why they want to keep the borders open. That's why they don't want a government built on the rule of law. And that's why they want you women marching all over Washington, D.C., opening the can of worms that may someday lead you to march through Washington with a burqa on. And it ain't your fault that you chose that. Dave.
Exactly.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, well, hey, thank you. You know, I mean, I'm always glad to help. And the thing with women's rights and Islam, it's such a joke. I mean, there is a pamphlet out there, kid. It is called Islam from Darkness to Light. It pops up once in a while on the internet. Sometimes you can find it, sometimes you can't. But it's a good one to read because it is one that was passed out in Canada. And I want to thank Michelle Walsh of Stop the CBC for this. It was passed out in Canada so that women, or rather so that men would know the proper Sharia treatment of women. And it does include things like wife beating and things of that nature. They don't really consider rape within marriage to be rape. There are things like that go on. And if you have a Sharia compliant nation, women will have nowhere to go to seek justice for crimes against their bodies except a Sharia court.
Mm-hmm.
And a Sharia court is very. If women think that Donald Trump is misogynistic because he might have grabbed someone on the meow, these Sharia courts, they see women as Islam sees women in law. And in Sharia law, excuse me, Islam sees women as, even wives, as little better than slaves.
Yeah.
And that is, it's a dark age mentality, and it's a mentality that is being advocated for here in the United States by people who frankly should know better.
Yeah.
But they don't. They're not doing it. And all I can say is that it is for people like yourself, and EDL Radio on our side, and people like the professor who also speaks the truth on this, to speak those truths. And that's why I'm so grateful for you.
Well, I'm ever thankful for what you do on a nightly basis and on a daily basis, not only with your critiques, but as well your radio programming. I was looking for my book. I can't find it at the moment. I'll probably find it during a break. But I had a number of great authoritarians on this. It was a gentleman who came on my program who was once a member of the PLO. He is now a Christian minister of faith. He can't go out in certain places. He needs security because he's under. What is that term when they tell you that they're going to promise to kill you?
That is a fatwa.
Yes.
That is a fatwa. He's considered an apostate. He's considered an apostate because he has converted from the religion of Islam, and therefore he is not even really considered to be a complete person at this point.
Exactly.
Yes, I'm sure he does have to have security.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Ken.
No, I just want to say I'm also under a fatwa or however way you wish to say it, because of those particular shows that I put out early in this career.
Right.
And I was not ashamed of the good news of Jesus Christ, and I'm never going to be. It doesn't matter what you say or do to me. But the bottom line is, if I speak, I am violent against them. My words are literally a sword against them. And the only measure that they have, they cannot reason back with you. The only thing that they have in their arsenal is their sword. So their sword, which we someday pray are beaten into plowshares, but their swords are the ones that will kill many. And what's even worse are the swords of those individuals who have political correctness and want you to be silent, who don't want you to say that climate change is a theft against poor people, who don't want you to say that the real racists in America happen to be those who wish to make certain that you're always dependent on government. And they certainly don't want you to say that Muhammad married a 6-year-old girl and raped her. And out of that is the design in terms of how to appreciate a woman.
You know what, Ken?
Yeah.
You remind me. You remind me of something that Leslie said today on EDL Radio. That's very important. Okay, when you talk about political correctness, Justin Trudeau, when he was running for Prime Minister of Canada, kept saying that diversity is our strength. Diversity is our strength. And I said at that point in the show, does that not sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how often during the election did we hear Hillary Clinton talk about celebrating diversity?
Mm-hmm.
This is a mindset on the part of the progressive left, which is enabling the Islamists. I know Osama Dakdok hates that term, but who is enabling the Mohammedans to come in and say ours is a religion of peace and things like that, when really theirs is a cult of death. And I'll give you just an example of that too.
Yeah,
this is a message that we got. I don't have a story to back it up yet, but it is familiar. An old gentleman was walking along the streets of Sydney, Australia, with his little I think it was about a 4-month-old puppy named Egg, and he was stopped by a couple of Muslim immigrants who held a knife on him and took the puppy, and drove away with it in their car. And I can tell you, people, you go out there and you look on the internet, you will see images of Muslims torturing animals, dogs, cats, and things like that. And they do that because they're trying to toughen up their young people, and they're trying to make them immune to the sympathy and the empathy with other people when they cause them physical harm. This is the other end of that political correctness. Trudeau and Clinton talk about diversity being our strength. These people strengthen their children through horrific means like animal torture and things like that. This is a reality that a lot of people don't want to face. This is one of those inconvenient truths that that I don't think Al Gore really wants us to think about either.
No.
But it's there. It's real.
Exactly, it is real. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back from that break, hopefully I can hold over Dave for a few moments while we go over the impact of the Canadian measure. We'll talk in greater detail on Monday with Leslie Ann Stoffel. But I also want the women to understand what Sharia law really is. And we have a number of women who are in our chat roll this particular night. I'm not discounting your knowledge or degrading your wisdom, but sometimes it's very good to get a refresher so that you're able to sit next to someone who has this great fascination with the cult of Mohammedanism, or at least a political correctness towards it, and tells you that it's a religion and you should respect it like they respect your religion. I want to ask you this question. How many Christians are allowed to worship in a Mohammedan culture their God? You might not understand that there is no other God but Allah, and any other affront to it, while it may be tolerated, will not be done so for long. One of the biggest intimidations in all of the world right now is that posed against Christians, and that exactly posed against Christians by jihadists in Muslim countries. So I want to talk with you ladies because actually you have greater influence than you think in this particular area. And while some of you all might have an affinity for those who march down Pennsylvania Avenue with little pink bunny things on their heads, I want you to know that those ladies will be responsible for you someday walking the streets in a burqa, like the women of Iran, like the women of Afghanistan, who in the 1970s were wearing disco outfits like you, and today can't go outside of their house unless they get their husband's permission. We'll be right back with more of the best. New Day Black and Blind tonight on New Day Black and Red. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe, Put the Reaver, Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com. That's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shrmedia.com.
Have you heard the news? There's more to Prime than free. 2-day shipping on shoes. There are tons of movies ready to stream. It's like living in a film lover's dream. More to Prime. More to Prime.
I want to join. How much should I pay?
You can sign up for the free trial today. So let's say it one more time. There's more to Prime.
Want to know the best kept secret in flea and tick control? It's the money you'll save with 1-800-PET-MEDS. Save 30, 40, even 50% on veterinary recommended brands for your pet, and we'll deliver them free right to your door. And now you can get the safe and effective results of a top brand for even less with new Flea for X Plus. 4-way action to kill fleas, ticks, lice, and mosquitoes. Plus, it starts working in 5 minutes to 1 hour and is backed by our 100% happy guarantee. Call now or order online from 1-800-PET-MED.
Hi, my name is Willie Lawson of The Willie Lawson Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network. We have a brand new show on at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. We are bound to make you think. We are bound to make you see things differently. We are bound to push you into action for not only your community, but your country. That's The Willie Lawson Show on the Exceptional Conservative Network, 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. See you there. Hi.
So what do you think about ebooks?
Hello, I'm Donovan Larkins, pastor of Spirit of Life Christian Center in Dayton, Ohio. But I'm also the director of Shekinah Ranch and the Shekinah Ranch Protecting Innocence campaign. And today I want to just share with you some of our materials that we've developed so that you too can be part of promoting prevention, education, and safety awareness to youth. We have now our Protecting Innocence t-shirt. It's a powerful marquee or billboard that you can purchase and wear yourself that brings awareness that children need advocacy. It's a powerful, powerful piece. It's simply a picture of that with this marquee here with some additional wording on it, and you will want to be a part of that. We have posters that any of you pastors or any of you community centers, you may want to obtain some of these posters and post in the recreation center. It would be great to post this in the foyer of your church. It would be awesome for you to post this throughout the schools of your community. Involvement is what's necessary. Involvement is what makes a difference. We know that in order for evil to triumph, all that is necessary is for good men and women to do nothing. And then we have these little marquees. You can order 100 of them, you can order 50 of them, and you can pass them around to your family. You can pass them around at a family event or a local event that you're going to be at a festival or something. These are very handy, they're very cost efficient, and they make a powerful statement. They really make an impact. And then we have our Protecting Innocence ribbon. And in this package, it's not only just the ribbon, but it also has a message, a safety awareness message, actually a tip. And the tip encourages parents to exercise scrutiny with the relationships that your children are involved with. Today, we see more and more children being victimized by teachers, by coaches, and by other people, other supposedly trusted individuals. And we have to prepare our children if we plan for them to be safe. And then you will want to be involved with the overall Protecting Innocence campaign, because we're making plans right now to build a retreat recovery center on our 150-acre campus where Shekinah Ranch is housed. And you can get this brochure. We can email it to you. That way there's no cost associated with it, so that you can learn how you can join our Protecting Innocence teams. We are communicating with people globally, all over the world, that are interested in how together we can protect children from dirty, evil child molesters. We love to have you on board. We need your support. We want your prayers, and we welcome your financial contributions. Again, I'm Donovan Larkins, Chicana Ranch Protecting Innocence Campaign. And by the way, camps are coming. So call us so that you can register your child at 937-422-6029. We'll see you there.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to New Day Black and Red, a program on SHR Media Live, HPTalkRadio.com live, and Red Nation Rising. Sorry we missed you. Love you. You can listen to us at 2 a.m. on the Liberty Channel. Want to thank you all so much because we're protecting the innocent tonight. Not just those who suffer at the hands of those that suffer from pedophilia, of which blatantly there really is no cure. But there are so many in our culture that are being raped, mutilated, abused. You don't have to listen to Miss Anya Ali or sit at her feet and hear of the number of Islamic girls who are mutilated, their genitalia destroyed, that they may not experience pleasure sexually, as pleasure is only a male thing, could never be a female thing. I want y'all to understand what I'm doing is virtually revolutionary in terms of conservative talk. I'm not going to sit on here and just talk about terrorists. I'm going to talk about the terrorists who sit in a mosque and tell your sons and your husbands and your uncles and your brothers that you, Miss America, Mrs. America, are not worthy, completely unworthy of the ground upon which this man walks. It's time for us to be very real, because a lot of people are hurt, a lot of people are dying, a lot of people have been taken astray. And some of that is out of ignorance, some of it is because there's monetary support for it. I have with me tonight a very good friend, one of my bestest friends, Dave. Dave, I'm looking at Stoke Bloke Milner tonight, but Dave is the unpleasant blind guy, if you didn't know that. He's also known as Agador. But he is one of those warriors who sits up at night trying to get the truth out to save at least one person. You know that phrase that liberals always use, if we could just save one. Well, Dave works on that, and he works on EDL as well. And I'm going to ask Dave to put that in our chat roll. I hope that everybody would start and put it in their listening array during the course of the week. Because one of the things that we perish most from is a lack of knowledge. We can perish from hunger and thirst, but it is the lack of knowledge that really kills us. And there are not very many people, no matter how brilliant they are, that can sit down with someone from the cult of Mohammedanism and say to them, did you know that Jesus' name is mentioned more often than Muhammad's in your Quran? And why do you think that is? Those are some of the things that you're going to need to ask now in Canada before they pass legislation coming up next week, basically chilling you out in terms of free speech. And that's why I'm really hoping I can get Dr. Bill Warner on here along with Leslie Stoffel on Monday, because I've learned that it's not enough that I say it. If I say it, well, Ken, that's just you. But literally, there is a war that is afoot. And I want to talk with you right now. A lot of people think that the Mohammedanism is merely a religion. And that, they go to church like we go to church. And, they got choirs maybe. I don't know. I've never gone into the mosque. I don't know what they do. But, they certainly are more strict and more disciplined than Christians because they pray at least 5 times a day and President Obama said the greatest sound, sweetest sound he ever heard was the morning call to prayer. So, you know, they must be much better than Christians. Am I correct on this?
Lord. Okay. Let me tell you, Obama says that this is the most beautiful sound he's ever heard. It's not so beautiful when it's 5 o'clock in the morning and you're trying to get some sleep, and suddenly the speakers at the mosques start blasting that out, because that's one of the first prayers of the day. Oh my God, Islam is. It's interesting when you talk to Muslims, they will tell you Islam is a system. Now, you've heard many times Christian preachers call the Bible a plan for living. Okay.
Yeah.
And it is a good plan for living, but the Mohammedans, when they say that Islam is a system, they're including Sharia. They are including things in all of the writings of their cult. They're including the Quran, the Hadiths, the Sirahs. They're including all of those things, because if you live the way Muhammad did in their vision, you'll go to heaven, unless you're a woman. And if you're a woman, you can only go to heaven if you pop out shaheeds. That's people who will go out and commit jihad in the name of Islam. So you have a system for living, which includes everything from cradle to grave.
Yeah.
If you are a really devoted Mohammedan, in the writings, they have included in there every ways to do everything, from eating to sleeping, to wiping your rear end.
Yeah.
Yes, they have instructions, people, for wiping your rear end. They are strict. I will give them that. That there is a stricture, but it is, to me, it is almost as similar stricture as when the old Soviet Union used to train Spetsnaz, special forces shooters. It is a way that Islam can do what Islam does best, which is Islam exists to create more Islam.
Yes.
It is okay. Now you were saying it was not a religion. Bill Warner will tell you that it is more a political ideology, and he does it a lot better than I do. So I won't stray too far into it, but it does involve politics. It involves politics. It involves faith. It involves control of crowds. It involves control of media. It involves control of the individual. And this is probably why progressive leftists like it so much, because they can use it, and I believe that they want to use it as a means of controlling people on the street, while they falsely believe that they can be atheistic or whatever and control the government.
Exactly. Can I want to interject here. Hold that point, because I want people to understand that there are correlations between the totalitarian left and jihadists or Mohammedans in terms of this speak. You speak to control.
Yes.
The ones on the left, and if I'm wrong, Melanie or anyone else in this chat room will chime in and tell, what is population control? Population control is built on the framework of abortion, that you actually can pick and choose the winners of who lives and who doesn't. It's done with an accent on destroying the unworthy ones within your culture. Does not jihadism do the very same thing in terms of a population control? Getting rid of the unworthy ones, the infidels who will not submit to the authority or the control of Muhammad. Am I right on this?
But Ken, I would love to see figures on from planned baby killing, which is Planned Parenthood. I would love to see figures on how many Muslim couples go in and have amniocentesis done on their babies, who find out that the babies are girls and then have them killed.
Yes.
They want a very small number of women and a very large number of men, because they need shaheeds to turn into soldiers of Allah.
Okay, let me just interject right there, real quick.
Right.
What is the largest group of people entering Europe, or quote unquote invading Europe, out of the Syria and other Muslim countries? Are they not men, 18 to 25?
Yes. You're talking about now. These aren't the ones, folks, that you're going to see in the State Street media. You know, the ones with, the mothers with the little babies and toddlers and things. No. These are, if you look at the photographs, these are men, as Ken says, anywhere from 18 to 35 years old. They're military age. They're all fit, and they're all coming in. Yes, that is exactly what's going on, and they are doing their own version of ethnic cleansing through rape jihad and other things. What is it now? A figure that I remember from Germany, and this I think was from last year, and this was created by Germany's own government services, was that the birth of Mohammedan babies was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 5 times that of the birth of native German babies. Unless
You're
I'm
correct.
mistaken, I think that's
No, you're correct. It is 5 times the rate, and they're concerned that it might double in the next 5 to 10 years.
But get this, kid.
Yeah.
No, get this. Okay, what does the EU say? Why does the EU say they need Mohammedans in there? Because they say that the birth rate among native peoples of Europe is so small. Now, let me give you an alternative of how to handle that, because you're going to hear people on the left, on the progressive left, saying, well, our birth rate in the United States is so small, so we need to bring in Mohammedans who can accelerate the birth rate, and boy, do they accelerate it. Prime Minister Abe of Japan in 2015 made a very fascinating statement when someone asked him how many quote-unquote Syrian refugees, and a lot of them are from Syria, folks, he was going to take into Japan. He said that Japan would be glad to spend money to help create things like safe zones within the Middle East for these people to go to, but that Japan did not want to take these people in because their birth rate was so low. Because what Prime Minister Abe wanted to do was to institute a program in Japan to increase the native Japanese birth rate over the next 50 years. And I see absolutely nothing wrong with a native people. And again, no, this is not any kind of ethnic supremacy. Okay?
Exactly.
There is nothing wrong with Native American peoples of all colors increasing our birth rate just by going out there and getting married and having some fun.
There you go. Speaking of Valentine's Day.
Exactly, yeah. Let's get started. It's great fun. It's ditto Europe, ditto the UK. So there is another way. Don't be fooled into thinking that we have to have this group of people to increase our birth rate. We don't. Plus, Melanie, who is in the chat right now, I believe can I think acknowledge this. Economically speaking, we don't need more unskilled labor. It is partly it is because of mechanization and robotization of our manufacturing processes. We don't need as many people to make things anymore as we used to. A car plant that used to employ 1,000 people actually closer to 2,000 people, can now employ 200.
Yes.
Quite easily. And it won't be that many more years until they'll employ 20.
Exactly.
So, and I'm not saying this because I want to be mean-spirited to people in other countries. For instance, the Syrians, let's take them. They can and should use their own industry to create their own wonderful economies in their own countries to serve themselves. We did it. It took us a lot of years. It took our people contributions from every one of us, and we made it.
Mm-hmm.
They did so in the UK. They did so in Europe. It can be done in the Middle East, in Africa, in South America. It can be done without having to depend on the United States, on Russia, on China, on Europe, Germany, the UK, or any of those other countries. This is doable by other countries. It's hard work. We know this from history, but it can be done.
It can be done. We're talking tonight with Dave Milner, the unpleasant blind guy, who is one of the hosts of EDL. If you don't have EDL, which you can find the English Defense League on Blog Talk Radio, if you don't have that starred, please start in your browser. Listen to them in the afternoons, and you can listen to the great cuts by Dave Milner, the unpleasant blind guy, on SHR Media. He often stands in for the professor, Dr. Michael Jones, because he is now such a sex symbol. It's hard to, it's hard to get him to come to the shows anymore. With crowd security.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the comedy portion of our program.
Security. Security is expensive for following around the professor. So I don't know if I have the bucks for that, but we're gonna see what we can do in terms of next week. But we're talking about there are very similarities between the leftists who are now in alignment with the Mohammedans or the Islamists, however way you wish to say it, and they're joining forces in Canada to institute Sharia law. And I just want to bring out this particular story. I'm going to put it in the chat room so that I don't mind people questioning me, but question me on what I present. Make certain the content that I have is accurate and true. And when you know that it's accurate and true, step away because I'm speaking the truth. There is great concern that Prime Minister Trudeau is working with individuals like MP Ikra Khalid in terms of silencing the Christian speak. And in fact, Khalid made this comment. She says it calls on the government, the law that she's attempting to get passed, which would call Islamophobia a hate crime. She says condemn Islamophobia and all forms of systemic racism and religious discrimination. Now, one of the groups that's most concerned are the Jews, of course, because this is how it got started. And what country was that again? Germany.
Ironic that.
It kind of. If you live long enough, you'll see history repeat itself. But this is a text of her law. This is just some points out of her text. It recognizes the need to quell the increasing public climate of hate and fear, which, if you ever ask them for statistics, they will never be able to show you. Number two, they say they request the Heritage Committee study how the government could develop a government-wide approach. Understand that, highlight that, tell everybody. A government-wide approach to reducing or eliminating systemic racism and religious discrimination, including Islamophobia. Well, it ain't offering you food stamps. It ain't offering you a government handout. What it is enforcement by the law enforcers, at least, who are government focused, against you. Now, where would they go if they were going to find a place where there was systemic racism and religious discrimination? I don't know. Would it be a church?
I don't think so.
And then finally,
this is where we need Arsenio. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, finally, one other point I want you to go and comment after this is that they will collect, the government now will be responsible for, now this is the same group of liberals that were like, don't go into the synagogues after 9/11 because that's racism and that's discrimination. They want the government to collect data to contextualize hate. Since the data doesn't exist, we want you to make it up. Contextualize hate crime reports to conduct and needs assessment for impacted communities and present findings within 240 calendar days. What would we call those impacted communities? Would they not be no-go zones?
I think so. Yes, I think so. I mean, listen, if you want to find racial discrimination, if you want to find bigotry, if you want to find hate, if you want to find intolerance for people who do not believe the way you do, then go to the Muslim community of your choice. There is a film out there. I wish I could remember who produced this video, but this lady came back to the UK and she was talking to some of these Muslims who were in an anti-police march because police had arrested someone who apparently was connected with some kind of terror group or something like that, and they were out there saying to hell with the police. And one of the men in the crowd said, well, we only recognize Islamic law. We don't recognize the law of the Kafir. And the law of the Kafir, people, is United States law. It's secular law. It's American law. Or in their case, British law, German law, wherever they find themselves. The Sharia is the only, Sharia law is the only law they recognize, and Sharia is the only lifestyle that they recognize. Anything else, and they have a plan for you.
Mm-hmm.
It is convert to Islam, pay the jizya, which is to pay a tax, which in their minds means literally if you're wearing a nice jacket walking down the street and they're walking down the street and you're a Christian and they like that jacket, you got to give them that jacket.
Yeah.
Or you get your head cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your choices. Now, I really can't think of any other kind of society or plan for living or a cultural base that is that intolerant. And yet,
mm-hmm.
you and I, and most of the people in the chat, all the people in the chat, I would say, are being called intolerant because we question this. We question an ideology that preaches intolerance and hate, torture, and mutilation and death against those who do not believe in the same thing that they do, and enslavement.
Yes.
So there it is.
There you go. I want to bring up the point that hate crimes in Canada, and we will talk with Leslie Ann Stoffel on Monday in greater detail regarding Canada and why Wednesday's vote, which is supported by Prime Minister Trudeau, who
Mm-hmm.
I really believe is the second biggest error ever committed by North America. The first being Obama, the second
Mm-hmm.
being Trudeau, the third being Jimmy Carter. We're going to go all the way back.
Yeah.
But apparently, according to statistics in Canada, in 2013, there were 326 police reported hate crimes. Oh, Lordy, 326. I think there are more than 326 people in Canada.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people in Canada. Reported hate crimes motivated by hatred of a religion or religious group. About 28% of all hate crimes were those. Now, let me just tell you, sit back and you got to wonder, how come this group of people ain't marching and pulling out swords and killing folk? Not that I'm suggesting that they do it, but you got to wonder why. Do you know the group that suffered the greatest amount of hate crimes in Canada?
My guess would be Christians, non-Muslims.
No, actually, Christians would be number 2. Guess who's number 1?
Well, if it's according to the Canadian government, probably Muslims.
Nah, yeah, exactly. But no, number 1 is the Jews.
Okay. So, okay.
So,
okay.
in this order,
in reality here, not according to the government. Okay,
exactly.
right.
In reality here, and this is according to the government statistics by Canada. They say Christians are second, Jews are first. Guess who's number 3? Way down, number 3. Muslims.
Way down, number 3. Okay. Well, I was going to say Hindus, but all right, Muslims.
Muslims, there you go. So the bottom line is the people who are crying out most are not the most discriminated against. They are not the most abused. They are not the most hated. And yet they proclaim that there is such a thing that Sigmund Freud found out back in 1910 called Islamophobia.
Well, I'll tell you, Ken, that is a ginned up word. It was made up by the Muslim Brotherhood. It's not real. In fact, the man who popularized that word in the UK took it back about a year or so ago and said that he did not believe that Muslims could or even wanted to assimilate to the secular law of the United Kingdom. And let me get to these supposed hate crimes against Muslims, because the fake stream media loves to talk about these. Oh, it's terrible. There was a mosque that was defaced. You know, people painted some stuff on it and whatnot. Almost every time that happens, I won't say every time, but almost every time it's discovered, oh, it was a member of that mosque. I'll give you a great example. It's kind of a funny one too. In the UK, there was a mosque, and the news came out. Oh, it's terrible. The EDL, the English Defence League, painted all this graffiti on the mosque. It's horrible. That story stood until security camera footage showed that the imam of that mosque spray painted the place, and instead of spray painting the right things, for instance, he made the mistake of spray painting the ELD.
Close enough. I'm in the ballpark.
Close enough for Antifa, yes.
Thank God for public education. Ladies and gentlemen, when we get back, I want to close out with Dave and on the subject of women.
Cool.
And hey, because it's Valentine's Day, what better thought than to have than women? Unless you're Liberace, you're thinking the other way. But I prefer women.
Me too.
When we get back, much softer. When we get back, I want to talk with the women about 8 reasons why you should be concerned about Sharia law, and to also allow Dave to give his final thoughts. And then I'm going to talk with you about something called Begotten. Ladies and gentlemen, it makes a major difference between what is a faith and what is a cult. You're listening to the exceptional New Day, Black and Blind, on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Actually, it's New Day, Black and Red, which gives you a constitutional and as well a spiritual viewpoint on the current affairs of the day. But by golly, the professor's not here, so we're just off our own beehive. We're going to do what we want to do. We'll be right back right after these messages.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our Gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
Hey, Dave, do you have your cigarette and your lighter, sir?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Okay, we got to play that commercial. Get it together, man. I got my cigarette here. We're going to stand out there on the porch. Here it comes.
We're ready.
There you go.
Hi.
Sexy Cricket.
Melanie Collette of Money Talk with Melanie on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., we talk all things money on a global, domestic, and household scale that affects you and your wallet. You don't want to miss it.
Woo! Money Talk with Melanie. Hey, Dave, bring that lighter over here, man. Oh, wow. Yeah, baby. Yeah, okay. We'll be right back.
Yeah,
man. From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red.
Good morning.
I'm Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Okay, folks, that's not how it goes. I think I'm Shannon, and you're Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. We are The Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time
Live on SHR Media,
and on TECN.
where we'll be talking about all kinds of things.
From sports and politics,
The food and entertainment,
to money,
family,
and anything else in between.
community, holidays, all kinds of things.
It'll be great. Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to Ossicles near you. Excelsior.
All right, by popular demand, and for all the other guys who just came onto the porch with their cigarettes, here we go again.
Hi, it's your business diva here, Melanie Collette of Money Talk with Melanie on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., we talk all things money on a global, domestic, and household scale that affects you and your wallet. You don't want to miss it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to New Day, Black and Red. Yes, you are in the non-commercial section of this particular program, meaning there are no more commercials we're going to play. I don't know how you can recover from the last one, but I am with my very good friend, Dave Milner. Dave Milner, who is the Unpleasant Blind Guy, has wonderful stuff here on SHR Media. You need to go to SHR Media or go to Spreaker under SHR Media and click on this stuff. Excellent stuff. You did a recent show with Leslie Ann Stoffel, am I correct? And it's like blasting off. Am I correct for that?
Oh yeah, this is what we talked about on EDL Radio. Quickly, Ken, because I know you run out of time. My show that it is on right now at Spreaker.com on the SHR Media page, and it's the SHR Media page on YouTube and iTunes. It's called it's under the Unpleasant Blind Guy. It's called BC Power. I had a nice 41-minute talk with Leslie Ann Stoffel, and the thing that gets me is this thing is taken off. I've got about 4 times the number of listeners that than I normally do outside my time slot. And the reason for this is because I don't know about you, Ken, but I have seen nothing about this proposed legislation in Canada in any of the United States fake stream media. None of the big cable news channels are covering it. I'm not seeing it anywhere. It may be on page 16 of some of the bigger papers, behind the ads for support bras. I don't know, but it is not being widely broadcast here. Nor, by the way, is it being widely broadcast in the UK. So this is something that they want to keep under wraps. It's something that they want to keep away from the public eye because they want to just get this done on probably the 16th, but possibly the 15th or the 17th. They're beginning to waffle now on which date they're going to do this, and that to me in itself just shows how much outrage people are going to have when they hear about this. Just my own show numbers, which are usually pretty pitiful. Ken is usually number 1, folks. I'm usually about number 64. I'll just say that. It really has taken off.
Exactly, and congratulations to you. It is a very good program, but they want to quiet your concern by telling you that it's just a motion. It's a motion. It's not a bill and it's not a law. Just a motion, and that's kind of like quibbling over whether you're having a cheeseburger or a burger with cheese. Because once you open the door to government intervention, you better look out. The whole government's coming. I want to talk with you all very quickly here, and I want to give Dave the opportunity, because I keep telling you all that we're moving into the 3rd Bill of Rights in America. We're really moving towards the United Nations America, which opens the door for Sharia law and totalitarian rule. And you can question me on that, but I'll challenge you to determine to tell me otherwise. But number one, under Sharia, wives can be beaten. According to the Quran 434, men are the managers of the affairs of women, for that God has preferred in bounty one of them over another. Now remember, in the scriptures, God made them equal in his eyes. In the Quran, women are not equal to men. He goes on to say, and for that they have expended of their property. You are property. You're not a person, you're property. Which is why the left doesn't mind talking with you about joining the Democrat Party, because to them, you're property. Righteous women are therefore obedient and guarding the secret for God's guarding. And those you fear may be rebellious, admonish. Banish them to their couches and beat them. If they then obey you, look not for any way against them. God is all high, all great. Okay, so that's number one. Your property, and you should be beaten because you are a disobedient ilk. Number two, under Sharia, females enjoy fewer rights than males, according to the Quran 2:282. It says, and bring to witness 2 witnesses from among your men. And if there are not 2 men available, then a man and 2 women from those whom you accept as witnesses, so that if one of the women errs, then the other can remind her. It takes 2 women to match with 1 man witnesses. Okay, so you have fewer rights, and you're not looked on to with great distinction as you would be a man. Under Sharia, number 3, marriage and sexual intercourse with prepubescent girls is permissible, which is why we're concerned, and that's why we're working with Shekinah Ranch. I talked last night about morality being amiss in America, opening the floodgates. This opens the floodgates to this particular statement from the Quran. 65:4. It says basically, as for those of your women who have no hope of further menstruation, if you are in doubt, their waiting period is 3 months, and also for those who have not yet menstruated. So literally, a child is open for sexual molestation. Number 4, under Sharia, wives do not share the same divorce rights as their husbands. Under Sharia, Quran 2:29-30. By contrast, no such power is given to the wife. I can do bad by myself. That mentality will be stricken from the record, because you couldn't do bad by any other measure than himself. Number 5, under Sharia, female rulers are frowned upon. All y'all running up talking about y'all want Sharia rights, y'all want Islam to have Sharia. Hillary Rodham Clinton would not have existed under Sharia, ladies and gentlemen. Number 6, under Sharia, wives should be subservient to their husbands. Now, a lot of people misunderstand what is written in Ephesians and Galatians regarding the role of the wife, and also 1 Peter 3, the role of the wife to the husband, as if the woman is somehow subservient. In Christian scripture, the role of the husband and the responsibility of the husband is always greater to love the wife fully. Now, that's not the same thing in Sharia, because polygyny, I can't even say it. Polygamy, thank you very much, is allowed. According to Quran 4:3, what seems good to you of the women, 2 or 3 or 4, hey, the more the merrier. Come on in. The bed's wide open. Number 7, under Sharia, women are deemed lacking in faith and intelligence. You ignorant, according to the Quran. And we have to comfort and care for you, because, oh, poor baby, yeah, you got the doctorate degree, and yes, you are the sweetest little woman, yes, you are, but you ignorant, and you'll never be better than me. And then under Sharia, number 8, raping female captives is permissible. And you can find that in Quran 4:3, Quran 4:24, Quran 23:5-6, Quran 70:22-30. Having female slaves, those whom your right hand possess. What it does People question whether I'm a misogynist. No, I don't practice Sharia law. I believe in the way that God made man and woman, and the creation, not according to the Quran. So those are the 8 things that we should be concerned about regarding Sharia. Dave, your thoughts?
Well, all I have to say, Ken, is to the ladies out there who believe that they're somehow celebrating diversity by advocating for Islam, I would just say do a little reading, look a little bit closer, all right? Because you fought now for over 100 years. This is 2017, and the modern women's movement started in the early 20th century. So you and your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, and further back fought for over 100 years to get the rights in our secular society that you have. And now you have the respect of secular men, you have the respect of atheist men, and you definitely have the respect of Christian men. You know, as a part and parcel and partner in our society. That is what you have worked for. Okay, do not embrace Islam, because if you do, all that goes away. Ken, I want to thank you for letting me be on with you tonight, my friend. I will check on the professor and get details to you and everyone as soon as I get them.
Thank you, and God bless you, Dave. Thank you so much for coming on the program tonight. What a great friend. I'm telling you, my bestest friends, Dave and the professor. And it's so good to have either one of them on the air. Ladies and gentlemen, after this particular program, the Blow-Waiting Zeppelin will be on with his Berserk Bobcat Salon show. Saloon, not Salon. Salon is in the urban community. Saloon is out west. Will be on at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and that is 8 p.m. Pacific. He's right up in just a few moments. But I want to make this very clear. I want to thank all those who are in the chat room. And I don't want to call out your names tonight because I know that there are very listening ears amongst us. And I don't want you threatened in any capacity. I don't mind carrying the burden myself. But I certainly don't want to cause any this dire distress upon others. But tonight's show is entitled Anti-Islamophobia Laws. The leftists join forces with the Islamists to institute Sharia law in Canada. And the question is this a threat to the United States? And I'm going to tell you straight up, yes it is. You see, because everyone said that Obamacare would work because Canada had socialized medicine. Europe had socialized medicine. And you see how they're working? It's okay. But we saw that it didn't work. There are those who want to tell you that, by golly, if we allow a certain group, a certain demographic, a certain contingency to act above the law and follow their own laws in our constitutional republic, federated constitutional republic, that is, follow the Sharia law, then, by golly, we will be that much better. I want to take you to Sweden, where a large majority of Swedish citizens, female citizens, have reported rapes that have gone uncontested. Germany, France, London, England, Great Britain, Greece, Italy, the northern portion of Africa. It seems that wherever these jihadists go, nothing but the sword is known. Blood, sweat, and tears. Not the kind that comes from the labor of a farmer, but from the artistic pursuit of a jihadist. So why is it that in America you have preachers on Sunday morning telling you that you pray to the same God as those who would literally take the clitoris from a woman so that she would not have pleasure in sex, and do it while she is still very young. Tell her that at age 7 she can bequeath her love and affection towards a 70-year-old man, and by the Quran not be challenged. Why is it that a preacher standing up on Sunday morning would tell you that Allah and the Creator are the same God? Well, let me ask you one quick question before I talk about begotten. In the days of Christ, there were large numbers of people that followed him. There were women that followed him, yes, but the larger number were men. You see, the role of the patriarch was to liberate his family, was to speak the truth that they might be free. You might find in the scriptures of the New Testament how families are saved because the father chose Christ. Something about that patriarch thing mattered when the Constitution was being created as well. A patriarch would love their child, not enslave them. And so why on a Sunday morning? Well, let me give you two things to think about. Since 1960 in urban America, 70% to 80% of the women in a city are single mothers. Now, when you look back to about 1960, 1955 to 60, that number was somewhere in the area of 10 to 15%. So the state has made it clear that the preference is not for a man to be with a woman, but for a woman to be alone. Let me tell you that it makes it very easy on Sunday mornings to take advantage of you. I've seen it done. I railed against it, and I have been thrown out of churches for it. You see, 80% of the women, 80% of the church in urban America is made up of women. And what is the thing that a rooster, a preacher, wants to do? He wants to keep away those that might come into the flock and preach truth, setting the captives free. So hen houses have been built. And in those hen houses, you become cultish. You do everything that you possibly can to keep the women there because the women are emotional. They need someone to look over them. They need someone to take care of them, to encourage them, and make them hold alone. Now, some people listening might say, well, Ken, that's quite an indictment that you're passing at this point, but I believe the judgment's very clear. If I were to go into any one of 5 churches in Washington, D.C., the largest congregation, period, would still be composed of more women than men. It's not because women are more Christian or more saved. It's simply because a system has been created to rule over. Not to love, but to rule. And that sets up a great understanding of what Mohammedanism does in the eyes of a man. To lord over, to rule over, not to love up, not to raise up, not to encourage, not to strengthen. And so that is why you could easily throw a brick at your wife or throw acid at her face if she happened to look accidentally in the direction of another man, and then be justified. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not posing to you things that are not true. They've been done. But I want you to understand why anyone who preaches to you this Sunday that you pray to the same God, you might want to take your sons and your daughters, put them back in the car, and find another Bible-believing church. It's all for those who are Mohammedans who are listening to me overseas and here at home. I want you to understand the key is the term begotten, or in fact, only begotten Son. You can go all the way back to Psalms chapter 2, and you will see clearly that God intended his only begotten Son to be chosen amongst men as Lord and Savior. The term is used several times in reference to a child. In Luke 7, verse 12, it says, "Now when he came nigh to the gate of the city, behold, there was a dead man carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow, and much people of the city was with her." But that is not to confuse the only begotten Son of God. John 1:14 clearly states, "And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and full of truth." John 1:18 says, "No man hath seen God at any time, the only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he hath declared him." He did not declare Muhammad. You see, Muhammad had to deal with an angel named Gabriel who came to him and left him a little something under a tree to read. However, God spoke to God. God the Father spoke to God the Son and said, "You shall be the sacrifice, the propitiation for the sins, so that I might see men not as themselves, sinful and apart from me, but see them as you, full of hope and redemption." In John 3:16 it's clearly written, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have eternal life." I want you to understand what the 17th verse says, because that's for people who listen tonight and think that I've been playing around, I've been joking with you, or just being a hater. You see, God is a God of second chances. But if you ever driven down the road and you saw your little level go to E, and you think to yourself, I still got another 50 miles in this gas tank, and your car is slowing down a little bit, and, it's not going as fast as it used to, no matter how hard you press down on it, on the accelerator. And slowly the car begins to shut down, going nowhere, drifting to the side, hoping that you will put it in neutral and then glance over to the edge and then brake it the best way you can. We curse a great deal when we realize that. When we have gotten to the end and we are exhausted and there is no hope. You see, in John 3:17, God says, "For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved." I want you to understand something. I know that you are well taught and well trained at the mosque, and that you can quote the Quran to and fro. But the one thing that is missing is begotten. In 1 John 4:9 it's written, "And this was manifested the love of God toward us, because that God sent his only begotten Son into the world that we might live through him." There is life eternal and salvation awaiting you. No matter how many verses of the Quran or the Hadith or however many books you have that you read, nothing can replace the phrase, "the only begotten Son of God." You won't find it in the Quran, but you will find it in Christ. If you don't remember anything else I said tonight, I hope that you remember this. God bless America. It's time for America to bless God. Stay tuned now for none other than BZ. God bless you. Have a very, very good night.